Take a look at this split-screen graphic. Both of these images were taken on the exact same street corner, at the exact same time, using the exact same model of smartphone. On the left is a flat, easily forgotten snapshot. On the right, an image clean enough to run on a magazine cover. Since the lighting and the hardware are identical, a specific question should come to mind. What physical actions did the professional take in the half-second before capturing the image that the amateur skipped? Most people assume the difference comes down to an innate artistic eye or a hidden camera setting. When they can't recreate the result, they blame the phone and start shopping for a new lens. They have the problem exactly backwards. The difference is composition, and composition is simply a mental checklist of 5 deliberate decisions about where to place objects inside a rectangle. Working photographers run through this checklist subconsciously every time they raise a camera. Once you learn these 5 structural decisions, you can stop fighting your equipment and save your money on a new phone. Step 1 is the single most effective fix for bad photos, and it starts before you even point the camera. Open your phone's system settings, locate the camera menu, and toggle the grid to the on position. Without those lines guiding you, human instinct will dictate that you plant your subject perfectly dead center in the frame. It feels correct in the moment, but it creates stiff, unnatural photos. This diagram illustrates the rule of thirds. 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines divide the screen, creating 4 intersecting points. Human eyes don't naturally rest in the middle. Our gaze travels outward, seeking out these specific crosshairs. Knowing that, we can use the grid to our advantage. When you are photographing a person, shift your phone so the subject's eyes perfectly align with either the upper left or upper right intersection. If you are shooting a wide landscape without a person, apply the same logic to the horizon. Drop the horizon line down to the lower third to emphasize a dramatic sky, or lift it to the upper third to highlight the foreground. Shifting the primary subject off-center so it anchors to the grid immediately makes a photograph feel balanced. It is the most reliable method for curing snapshot syndrome. Now that your subject is placed securely on the grid, you might assume the composition is finished. But a balanced subject sitting in dead space can still feel disconnected from its environment. You need to actively point at it. Step 2 requires finding elements in your environment that act as visual arrows. A road running into the distance, a staircase, a row of streetlights, or even a long shadow stretching across the pavement can serve as a leading line. We know this works because it has been measured. In a 2024 eye tracking study, researchers generated heat maps like this one to record exactly where viewers looked. When lines physically converged toward a subject, viewers locked onto the target faster, lingered longer, and rated the image higher. There is one common trap to avoid. If your leading line runs out into an empty corner of the frame, with no subject waiting at the end of it, it acts as an exit sign, pulling the viewer's eye completely out of the photograph. The line and subject must work as a team. Identify your visual arrow first, then pan your camera until the line terminates at your target. By treating the geometry of the environment as a runway, you automate the process of directing your audience's attention. Their eyes will follow the path you build. Step 3 requires fighting your strongest instinct as a beginner. When you find an interesting subject, the immediate impulse is to zoom in and fill the entire rectangle with it. Look at the composition of this red umbrella. By taking a step back, the photographer restricted the subject to roughly 20 to 30% of the frame, allowing the plain, untextured concrete to act as negative space. An empty background is not wasted pixels. That emptiness grants the subject breathing room. A small figure set against a wide, calm background reads as intentional and creates structural tension, whereas a subject crammed edge to edge often feels cluttered. If your subject is a group of items rather than a single figure, there is a supplementary rule you should apply to your spacing. Odd numbers beat even numbers. Take a look at these 3 coffee cups. An even number splits the viewer's attention down the middle as the eye bounces between equal subjects. Grouping by 3s or 5s provides a natural central anchor for the eye to settle on. Mastering composition often requires doing less. Recognizing that emptiness and the arrangement of objects are just as powerful as the subjects themselves creates a much stronger photograph. You can align your subject on the grid, build a perfect leading line, and frame it with negative space. But the image will still fail if you ignore step 4, controlling the light. The easiest way to secure good lighting is to photograph during the golden hour. roughly the hour after sunrise and the hour before sunset. The sun sits low on the horizon, throwing soft, directional shadows that give a scene natural depth. When you shoot outside of that window, your phone has to guess at the exposure, and it frequently guesses wrong. If you photograph a person with the sun directly behind them, the camera exposes for the bright sky, rendering your subject a featureless black silhouette. Look at this camera interface. To override the software, tap your finger directly on the subject's face to tell the camera what matters most. Then, drag the sun icon up the slider to manually brighten the shot and reveal their features. You apply the exact same inverse logic for overexposed backgrounds. If the sky blows out to pure white, tap the brightest part of the screen and drag the slider down until the details recover. Taking command of the exposure slider separates intentional photographers from users who accept whatever lighting the automated software guesses for them. The final step fixes the minor errors that the first 4 pillars miss, and it doesn't require touching your phone's screen at all. Your own body is the most powerful zoom and cropping tool available to you. Beginners lock their feet in one spot. Professionals physically alter their elevation. Crouching low forces an ordinary subject to tower dramatically against the sky, while climbing high and shooting downward organizes a messy scene into a clean, legible pattern. Before you press the shutter, perform an edge check. Force your eyes away from the center of the screen and quickly scan the outer borders of the frame for distracting elements, like a protruding light pole or an overflowing trash can. Usually, the scene itself doesn't need to change. A minor lateral step of just a few feet to the left or right is enough to hide that background clutter entirely behind your subject. Taking 2 final seconds to scan the edges of your screen, followed by 1 physical step to adjust your angle, is your ultimate failsafe for capturing a clean frame. These 4 images utilize the tools we just covered. The photographers turned on the grid, utilized leading lines, preserved negative space, managed their exposure, and physically repositioned themselves to clean up the edges. Go take a practice photo today using this checklist. If this breakdown helped you rethink your approach, hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments which of the 5 steps made the biggest impact on your framing. Exceptional photos are the product of deliberate structural decisions. The camera currently sitting in your pocket is entirely capable of capturing them, as long as you know where to place the pieces.